Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Josh Perry, and those that know me know that two of my favorite words are audit and optimize, and that comes from my background in BMX and then getting into the world of brain tumors and then health optimization, and there it is again. So I've been sharing recently this exercise I call Auditing My Life that's helped me tremendously in all aspects of my life. And I've been sharing it more recently publicly, and I was just on a virtual summit, the Global Champions Summit, thanks to Kamalita. And I shared it again because she asked me to, because of how profound it was for her when she had me on her podcast. And I talked about what helped me was auditing my life when I was 21 years old, back in April 2010, when I was faced with a brain tumor diagnosis for the first time, going into surgery. And so she asked me to share a little bit about it. I got a lot of great feedback asking how other people can implement this audit of their lives in their own way. And so today I want to take you through a training, which below, wherever you're watching or listening, there'll be a direct link to the template I've created for this. So that way, in this moment, whether you're driving, you're at home, you're walking, you're at work, whatever you're doing, I'm not going to tell. But that way you can just be present. You can just listen. You can soak in the information. You can do your best to retain it in the unconscious. And then when you have some time you want to set aside, you can refer to the template. You can go through this training again. Or if you're in a safe space where you can take notes, feel free to take notes while you're going through this. And then you'll have the template that I'll link below for you to go through and just make sure you've taken notes appropriately to the exercise. And we're going to go right through it right now. We're going to start with how to audit your life. We're going to start with the 4 whats is what I call it. The 4 what questions. And so this is just to get the mind, the unconscious mind, the conscious mind working together, and just to really get you to get thinking outside the box, get creative, and focus on what it is you want. So that's the first question: is what do you want in your life? Just simply put. And I want to give you permission for all of these questions I'm going to ask you to consider and to participate in the exercises. I want to give you permission to think freely. Think outside of limitations. Think limitless possibility. Just be creative, have fun with this, enjoy this. And if you sense a feeling of resistance or some uncomfortability, I want you to note that, because that's good, because that means that there's some work to do there. And I want you to recognize what's coming up in your body and in your mind of a correlation to what you're feeling and then what you're thinking and so on and so forth. So the first question we're going to start with is, what do you want in your life? So this is section 1 of, 4 sections. So if you want to take, for people taking notes, this is section 1, the 4 whats. Again, don't worry if you're not taking notes or you don't have the ability to take notes. There's a template that's going to walk you through this. So let's get going. Section 1 is the 4 whats. The first question is, what do you want in your life? Again, no limitations. Think freely. Think creatively. Have fun with this. Just list out all the things you want in your life. Now, we're going to move through this pretty quick. This is an exercise I take my clients through. So if you're listening and you want to write this down, just pause it. Or if you're watching, just pause it. Write this whole list. You're simply just going to put all the things that you want in your life. The next question, what do you need in your life? There's a vast difference between the things that we want, which is ego-based, and a vast difference between the things that we need in our lives, which is a sense of survival. There's needs as a human being. And so make a list of all the things that you want, and then second, all the things that you need in your life. We obviously know we need food, oxygen, air, water, things like that. But we also, as human beings, we need connection. We need to feel heard. We need to feel seen. We need to feel loved. So think of all the things and list them all out. All the things that you need in your life. Now, the third question is, now that you have a thorough list of all the things that you want, all the things that you need in your life, I'm curious now, the third question is, what's holding you back from having the things that you want and need in your life? What is holding you back from having all of which you want and need in your life? And the final question, this is my favorite question, is what are you willing to do about it? So a great example of things that we want and or need in terms of what's holding us back, fear tends to be a very common thing that holds us back from the things that we want and the things that we need in our lives. Things that we need to do, maybe that challenging conversation, or things that we want, maybe we want X, Y, and Z, but we don't feel like we deserve it, or society says that it's selfish to think about yourself. We have this sense of guilt for thinking about ourselves. I want to let you know right now that if you're passed out, you're no good. And that's a metaphor. So if you recognize that you want to focus on yourself because you feel as if you're drowning in life, you're stressed out, you're no good to other people because you're not showing up as your best. So again, I want to give you permission to think freely about these things. But when it comes to what's holding you back and what are you willing to do about it, that last question, what are you willing to do about it? That's my favorite question, because now that you've gained an awareness of the things that you want, the things that you need, and then what's holding you back, what's potentially holding you back from having those things that you want and need in your life. The final question is, what are you willing to do about it? And this is where the line is drawn between taking on the responsibility for change or to recognize the changes you need to make and then continue living your life as it is. And so anyone that's listening to this, if you've gone and done this thoroughly, I would argue that you've probably found some things that you want and need, and the things that are holding you back from those things that you want and need in your life, and you recognize some changes that you must make. And so when it comes to what are you willing to do about it, this is where you have to face yourself. You have to face all the limiting beliefs and negative emotions that come up. And again, these are things that I go into extensively with my clients, and I help walk them through and support them with creating strategies to, move around these things and free them up with all the baggage holding them back. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do about what's holding you back to obtain the things that you want and need in your life? So that's section 1, the 4 whats. What do you want in your life? What do you need in your life? What's holding you back from having the things that you want and need in your life? And then finally, what are you willing to do about it? So those are my 4 questions that I love, the 4 whats. Now, section 2, 3 more questions. Section 2, it has 3 more questions. Now, these are questions that I love posing because it gets you to think creatively, and it gets you to really consider what you want to be true about yourself, your reality, and how you're being incongruent or congruent, and what needs to change. So number 1, what do you want to be true about yourself inside and out, and your reality inside and out? So what do you want to be true about yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, your relationships, your career? And this actually kind of bleeds into the second part of the first question. What do you want to be true about yourself and your reality, your external reality? So I like to put yourself, what do you want to be true about yourself, as the internal and part of the external, but your being. What do you want to be true about your mindset, your emotional well-being, your physical attributes, your body, how your personality is formed, the type of person you are? Are you a driven and motivated and passionate person? Or maybe you're a timid, fear-based person and you're unsure and you have these goals, but you just, you lack the confidence. So think about, what is the type of person at the core that you want to be? All the belief structures, the thought processes, the habits, all these types of things. And then your reality. What do you want to be true about your reality? Do you want to be financially free and abundant? Do you want to be abundant and free of time? Do you want to be free to go on family vacations or go travel and just take a month off to explore? Do you want to have a life partner that you don't currently have to share your life with? Do you want to, fulfill this dream of yours to start this business or to create music or art or whatever it is? Simply put, number 1, what do you want to be true about yourself and your reality? Anything that comes to mind, internally, externally, it all is a holistic picture of you and your life. All that matters in this question is, what do you want to be true about yourself and your reality? Now, the second question, how are you, in all the ways that come to mind, currently being incongruent to what you want to be true about yourself and your reality? So you have an idea of what you want to be true about yourself and your reality. This question is, okay, if that's what you want. So if we look at this as a simple up and down line, a upside down T, if you will. So we have a line. Perfectly straight is 100% on track to the things you want to be true about yourself and your reality. Anything else starts to veer off, and you can see how it's going to take longer to get back to where you want to go. So this question, how are you, in all the ways that come to mind, currently being incongruent to what you want to be true about yourself and your reality? So let's say you want to be a healthy person, and your external reality, you want to be doing things that a healthy person would be doing because you're able to. Maybe you're someone who's overweight and you are out of shape and you get tired really quickly, fatigued, and your knees get sore. So something you want to do is you want to be able to go on a brief, simple hike with your kids, or keep up with them on a bike ride, or whatever it may be. And so that's your, what do you want to be true about yourself and your reality? Now, how are you being incongruent to that? Maybe if you want to be a healthy person inside and out, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and you want to be able to do the things that a healthy person would be able to do, but now you found, a healthy person wouldn't be consuming alcohol every night after work. A healthy person wouldn't be going through the drive-through at McDonald's and Burger King or whatever processed food. A healthy person wouldn't be inconsistent with their exercise, their movement. It doesn't need to be going to the gym, but just some type of physical activity. A healthy person wouldn't be just sitting on the couch, binge eating ice cream, watching Netflix. So you're thinking about, how am I being inconsistent to this? Maybe a healthy person doesn't think that they don't deserve. They don't have those thoughts that I don't deserve to be healthy. We all deserve to be healthy. If that's a thought that comes up for you right now, I want to eliminate that. We all deserve to be healthy, happy, and successful in our own way, and however those words resonate with us. So if you ask yourself this question of how am I being incongruent, the example is what you want to be true about yourself is to be a healthy person, to do the things a healthy person would be able to do free of pain and just enjoy it. But now you found all these things that you're doing that's inconsistent with that desire. You're saying you want to be a healthy person, but you're not living a healthy lifestyle. You say you want to be a financially free person, but you're spending too much money and you're not earning enough money to make up for your spending, and then you're not saving and planning appropriately. So simply put, how are you being inconsistent, incongruent, out of alignment, whichever word makes sense to you? I love the word congruency. So simply put, how are you showing up in a way that's putting you out of alignment, that's putting your desire further away from you getting there? Now, once you have that, number 3 is, what needs to change and why? So using the health example, and maybe you find yourself, you're sick, you're tired, you're overweight, you're lacking energy, you're fatigued, you're in pain. You want to be a healthy person. You want to be free of pain. You want to feel good. You want to feel happy. You want to be doing things that a healthy, happy, and fit person would be doing. And we're not talking about you need to be ripped and then bulk and shape and like all this stuff. Just simply be healthy and happy and be free of pain. Enjoy yourself. Be free in your body. Be confident in your body. Because you want to go, you want to go on that hike. You want to go take your kids on a bike ride. You want to be able to play with your toddlers. You want to be able to go upstairs without being out of breath and, having to take a seat because your knees are sore. Whatever it is. And you found all the ways you're being inconsistent and incongruent or out of alignment to making that a reality. Now you recognize what needs to change. So if you found yourself drinking alcohol every day after work, or eating nothing but processed junk food, or not exercising and not being in regular movement, whatever that looks like, it could be a hike, bike ride, yoga, swimming, paddleboarding, whatever it may be, or it could be going into the gym and exercise. I love training. I love weight training. It's good for my mind. It's good for my body. And I enjoy the task. I enjoy the challenge. I feel good about it, but I also love going kayaking. I love riding bikes. I like golfing, bowling, hiking. It doesn't need to be just in the gym. So if you recognize the things that need to change, understand why they need to change. That's the final question. What needs to change and why? So that's the section, the 3 questions. The third section, I labeled this the quality of the 8 aspects of life. And there's a bonus one in there. So there's 9 aspects. But what I want you to do is, again, if you're listening or watching while you're driving or you're not able to take notes, again, just be present for this. You can always come back. There's a template attached to this, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, or if you're listening on the podcast, there's a direct link for the template that you can print out and use as your own. So the 8 aspects of life, the quality of those 8 aspects of life. This is the third section. Now, part 1, we're going to list the 8 aspects with the bonus 9th aspect. The first one is spirituality. Now, this may mean faith and religion. This may be your connection to God, spirit, the universe, divine feminine energy, whatever it is to you. It's connection to something larger than yourself. I'm not going to discriminate against anyone that believes in one thing or another. I believe there's space for all of us to believe what we believe. Spirituality to me is an understanding and a connection with a higher power than ourselves. So spirituality is the first one. Then there's family. And then there's finances. And then there's relationships. Then there's fun and leisure time. Then there's personal growth and development, physical health, career, and a bonus one I like to throw in is philanthropy. So those are the 8 plus the 9th bonus aspects of life. Now I want you to write them out, and then I want you to give them a rating. I want you to rank them, I should say, in terms of priority. From 1 to 10. 1 being the first priority of your life, and I guess in this case, we'd have 9. So 9 would be the least importance to you in terms of priority. For me, there's a lot of controversy around this, but for me, my physical and mental health is my number one priority because I know that affects my family and my relationships and my spirituality and my finances, my career, and my personal growth and development is all attached to that. So for me, it's my physical health, my personal growth and development, because those are one and the same to me. That's me looking at a holistic aspect of me mentally and physically, internally and externally. I know that has to be my first priority because just like the oxygen mask analogy, when they say, put your oxygen mask on first, because you're no good passed out to other people. If I feel like I'm drowning in life, I know I'm going to show up triggered. I know I'm going to show up irritated. I know I'm going to show up low energy. I'm not going to be my best. So my relationships and my family and friends, they're going to suffer. My spirituality is going to suffer. My belief and my faith and my vision and my life is going to suffer. My career, my financial situations and stuff, my fun and leisure time is going to be non-existent at that point. And me, philanthropy, me be able to give back, to consider giving back if I feel like I'm drowning, that's not going to be on the top of my priorities. So for me, my first priority is my own well-being because I know that affects every other aspect of my life. So for you, I want you to rank these 8 and the 9th bonus aspect of life in terms of priority to you. 1 being at the top of your list of priorities, all the way down to 9. Now, once you've done that, which is the first part of this, is to rank these 8 plus the 9th bonus aspects of life in terms of priority, 1 being at the top, 9 being below. Excuse me, that's Cheddar barking at the UPS man. The second section is I want you to grade yourself in each one of these areas. I want you to give yourself a grading of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect, 1 being abysmal. And this challenge here is no 7s. 7s are safe. So I want you to go through, number 1 is rank them in terms of priority, 1 being at the top. And then I want you to grade yourself on a 1 to 10 of how well you think you're performing in this area of life. How would you grade this aspect of your life and your performance in this life? Or your performance in this aspect of your life, I should say. 10 being perfect, 1 being non-existent. So take a moment, no 7s. And the first or the second part to this is I want you to ask yourself why. Why did you give yourself that 5? Why did you give yourself that 8? Maybe you gave yourself a 2. Maybe you gave yourself a 6. Why did you rank or did you grade that rating for it? Why did you give yourself that grade for that aspect of your life? And then the second piece to this, or I should say the third piece to this, because first we're going to grade ourselves 1 to 10, and then 2, we're going to audit. We're going to ask ourselves why we gave ourselves that grading. And then number 3, we're going to ask ourselves, what would it take to raise it one point? So maybe you gave yourself a 4 in your finances. Okay, why? All right, cool. What would it take to get that 4 to a 5? Again, forget about circumstances. Forget about limitations. Get creative. Have fun. Be free with this. This idea of limitations is conditioning. And I've learned from my own financial struggles in the past and growing up paycheck to paycheck with my family, the fact that I got a bike was a miracle. I know money, it's a challenge. It's a reality for a lot of us to struggle. But if we continue to think about our circumstances and define ourselves by those circumstances and then put on limitations because, people like me that come where I come from, they can never do that. They could never be financially free or abundant. I'm here to tell you that that's possible because I came from being broke. And now I'm able to live freely. I have all the things I could possibly need and some of the things that I want in my life. I live comfortably. So forget about circumstances. Forget about limitations. Just ask yourself, what would it take? What would it take? And this is my favorite question of anything in life. Beyond for what purpose, I should say. What would it take? Because when you say, or you ask yourself, what would it take, rather than, I can't, or it's not possible. I can't, it's not possible, or whatever circumstance or limitation you attach to, whatever it is, that closes your brain from thinking outside the box. It thinks in its conditioning from your past experiences and your current circumstance. What would it take? It reduces all that. It opens your mind and your unconscious mind to finding ways to make it happen. And again, I'm here to tell you it's possible. For anyone that knows any ounce of my story in professional BMX career, in overcoming brain tumors, and then starting my own business, it obviously hasn't been easy. For those that have been following me for the last, 12 to 15 years, you've seen my journey. But asking myself, what would it take attached to the vision that I'm working towards? Again, to the first part of this, or I should say the second part, what do you want to be true about yourself and your reality? What would it take? Just focus on that. What would it take? Get creative. Look out for other people that do something or are doing something that you want to do. Maybe they look like you. Maybe they come from you. Maybe they have a similar background. Maybe they come from a place worse off than you. That's what's always kept me in check. Oh, that person, like Lance Armstrong was that person to me. When I was diagnosed at 21 years old with a brain tumor and my life was on the line, I remembered his story. Brain, lung, testicular cancer. At that point, they didn't even know if it was benign or cancerous. And I was like, that guy went through much worse than I did, fought his way back. Doesn't matter your opinion on how he did it or whatever. The fact that he went through all that and got back to that level, that was all I needed to know. And I built the belief that it was possible. And I started asking myself, okay, what would it take? I reverse engineered his path and then consolidated it into my own version, distilled it my own way, and just kept focusing on what would it take to do this trick, to win that competition, to create that partnership. That's the mindset you have to have. So to finish up the second point of the third section, quality of the 8 aspects of life, what would it take? Now the third part of this third section, quality 8 aspects of life, the third part is committing to prioritizing these different aspects of life. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your top 3 priorities and I want you to commit to prioritizing them. And the first part to doing this is to ask yourself, how can you implement the changes necessary? I've given you a roadmap to understanding what the changes are that need to be made to get your 4 to a 5, get your 6 to a 7, get your 8 to a 9, whatever it may be, get your 1 to a 2. How can you implement the changes necessary? This is where you need to get creative. So this is taking the outcome, the outer layer of the golden circle, if anyone's familiar with Simon Sinek or James Clear's work. This is getting into the middle layer of the how, the systems, the process, the what would it take, the how you can implement the changes necessary. I want you to think a layer deeper. I want you to go into the core of the golden circle, the why, the purpose, the identity. What needs to change internally? I live by a belief that our external reality and our circumstances is a reflection of our inner world, our belief structures, our values, our motives, our energy. All of those things, they influence our personality, which is what influences how we show up in the world and how we behave, which that equation creates our results in our life, or I could say our reality. I've done a previous training on this called the TEAR method, T-E-A-R, thoughts, emotions, actions, results, or I like to say reality. You can go find that training. I'll link it below. If I forget to link it below, just leave a comment and I'll share it with you. How can you implement the changes necessary? What needs to change about you inside and out? And if you can't write down the things you recognize need to change, then you can't commit to it. You need to go back and reevaluate your priorities. So for example, if your health is at the top 3, we're not even going to label 1, 2, or 3, just the top 3, and you've recognized what needs to change about you inside and out, and you can't write those things down to commit to it, then you need to reevaluate them or reevaluate your perspective or ask yourself, why is this so difficult to commit to? Because there's another layer to this commitment. It's sharing it with a person that you trust. Not trust to enable you to say, oh yeah, don't even try that. It's going to be hard. It's not possible, whatever. Someone you trust to hold you accountable to what you say you want and what you say you need and what you say you need to make changes today. So that's the last section, or the last part of the third section. Now the final section, section number 4, values and motives. This is a simple exercise. We're going to start with number 1. What do you value most in your life? I just want you to make a simple list, endless list, whatever. No, it doesn't matter. You can have 3 things on it. You can have 30 things on there. Just make a list of all the things that you value in your life. The reason we do this is because value is often determined by scarcity, and it fuels our motivation. So for example, as society, we value money. Why? Because it allows us to do things. And oftentimes because not many of us have enough of it, at least that's how we see it. we can always use more because there's always something we want to fix at the house. There's always going to be food we need to buy. Maybe we have medical bills. Maybe we're in debt. Like maybe we want to start this business. Like it takes money to make money. So money is so valuable because of what it brings to the table and allows us to do as a resource. But it's also, most of Americans, at least, I think 60 to 70% of Americans don't have a $400 emergency budget. So yeah, they value going to work because they need to make money because it's scarce for them. And that's what becomes their motivation. It can also lead to burnout and other things like that. But for the sake of this part of the exercise, value is often determined by what is scarce in our life or what's at risk for being non-existent in our lives. And it often fuels our motivation. So for me, when I was 21, living as a professional athlete and then diagnosed with a brain tumor, my health wasn't a priority, but it quickly snapped into being a priority because my life was on the line. It became very scarce. There was a high risk that I was going to die. And there was a high risk that I would never ride my bike again, which was everything to me as a 21-year-old. So my motivation was to live and survive and to optimize my health so that would never happen again. And I could continue living my dream, which I continued living my dream for another 9 years. Brain tumor came back 3-4 more times. I had a second surgery, I had radiation, all that stuff. But I kept learning. I kept integrating the learnings. How to optimize my health even more. There was all these learnings that I was missing. Every diagnosis revealed one more. And that belief that I was going to be defined by my future vision and not let my circumstances stop me. What would it take? What would it take? That's how I was defined. That's how I lived my life. That's what kept me moving forward every step of the way. And I didn't let my circumstances affect me in terms of how I showed up and what I wanted to be true. That's not denying my reality. It was very painful. It was very, very fearful. I was worried about me. I was worried about my family. I was worried about being a burden to my family. But my motivation was to be alive for my friends and my family and myself and all the people that count on me because of the work I do today, which was discovered by pursuing my first passion, BMX. So you can quickly see how I didn't prioritize my health. It was down here. Other things were above it. Brain tumor diagnosis happened. It became my number one priority and my number one motivation because my health was scarce at that point. My life was on the line. So it fueled my motivation to change. So that's number one, or part number one of values and motives. What do you value most in your life? Just make a simple list. It can be as long or short as you want, whatever comes to mind. And again, I give you permission to be free with this. For me, on my list, I have things like my friends, my family, my fiance, Jackie, my dog, Cheddar, my cats, Larry and Fred. Golf is on that list. My work, speaking, coaching, helping other people. My health is on that list. It's at the top of that list. My mindset, because I know my health and my mindset affect all of those things. Travel, learning, writing, speaking, podcasts like this. Doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is what you value. Now, part two of this is, what are you motivated by? I'm just gonna leave this open-ended. I'm not gonna give any more. I gave enough context and examples. Part two of values and motives is, what are you motivated by? There's no right or wrong. Give you permission to just write out a list of all the things you're motivated by. And then a sub-bullet to this is why. You're going to have a list of all the values in your life, all the things you value most in your life. And then you're going to have a second list of all the things you're motivated by. And then you're going to ask yourself why about each one of them. And then to wrap this part up before I go into this exercise to finish values and motives, to wrap up, what are you motivated by? After you ask yourself why, you'll be able to see a link between your motives and values and if they're in alignment or not, if they're congruent or not, if they're inconsistent or they're consistent. You'll have a list of all your values. You'll have a list of what you're motivated by. You'll ask yourself why for each one of those motivations. And then you'll be able to see, based on your previous list of the 8 aspects or 9 aspects of life, ranking them and then grading them and then seeing your values, seeing your motivations. You'll be able to see all these tracers connecting one thing to another, and you'll be able to see what's out of alignment. And I gave you a roadmap to figuring out what needs to change and why. And that's it. The third section to finish values and motives is a simple exercise. I want you to, if you're listening, watching, just be present. If you're not able to take notes, come back to this later on. Again, there's a template you can download and use as you like. This is something I want you to have a fresh piece of paper, and I want you to draw a line straight down the middle and then straight across the middle. I call this the quadrant exercise. On the top left, it's going to be a list of all the things that you do want and have. So you can label this want and have. Top left, want and have. So it's essentially the things you want in your life and you already have. The top right, you do not want and have. So don't want, but have. So on the top left, want and have. Top right, don't want and have. Excuse me, I paused for a second. Top left, want and have. Top right, don't want and have. Bottom left, the things that you want but don't have. Bottom right, the things that you don't want and don't have. So it's, we're going to have 4 boxes. Again, just to recap, top left, want and have. Top right, don't want but have. Bottom left, want and don't have. Bottom right, don't want but don't have. Part 2 to this. Once you have this, flip it on the back, or if you got enough space between this section and the bottom of the page, I want you to take all the things that you don't want and have and turn them into want and don't have. This helps start the focus on what to become aware of and begin creating changes towards. So you're going to take all the things that you don't want but have, and you're going to flip them into what do you want and don't have. So take the don't want and have and flip them into want and don't have. Or I should say combine them, sorry. Part 2 to this is combine the want and have with the don't want or don't have and don't want. So let me repeat that. Combine the want and have with the don't have and don't want. And this is to give you perspective on being grateful for the things that you don't have, that you don't want. So the first part of this was turn the don't want and have into want and don't have. Combine those. And this helps us start the focus on what to become aware of and to begin creating changes towards. I should say, begin creating changes towards the things that we want to have. So we have the don't want and have, and we have the want and the don't have. This helps us understand the focus we have to shift into to begin creating more awareness and begin creating the changes towards having the things that we want but don't have. And the second part of this was combining the want and have with the don't have and don't want to give that perspective of gratitude for all the things that we have in our lives and all the things that we don't have but don't want in our lives. And so that's it, guys. That's how I audit my life. This is taken years to compile this simple exercise to share with all of you, which is why I love doing what I do, because I've taken 12 years at least being conscious of changing my life. And I've developed systems and strategies to help other people shorten the amount of time until they get to have the awareness for what needs to change in their lives. And then we create a plan together to create those changes, to experience the things that they want inside and out, about themselves, about their reality, and share it with other people, because it continues this ripple effect throughout the world. So I would love to know what you think about this exercise. Again, it's going to be linked to the template below, wherever you're watching or listening to this. I'd love to get your feedback. Please, if you could, just a quick rating, a description of any questions that you have, any misunderstandings, any feedback. We would love a review. Share it with any friends or family, especially this episode. All the ratings, the reviews, the comments, the shares, it helps us grow the podcast. It helps, help get into the ears of people that need to hear this, all these tools, all these stories that we have from different guests and myself and Jackie and our good friend Mitch. And, it's our calling in life to help people understand the gray area of life and to do what we can to be that support system for them. I like to refer myself as a virtual mentor. I had a lot of virtual mentors in my life. Some I have met in person and become friends with. Some that maybe I never will meet or will get to know them. But I learned from them, and I've learned to do the same in terms of creating content, whether that be the podcast, that be YouTube videos, that be speaking, that be my coaching, that be my book that I'm working on. All these different mediums, because I want to help people. I want to help people feel that like they're not stuck anymore. I want to help people feel like they can resonate with other people and that they're not alone. I want to help people see beyond their circumstances and to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I've been in very painful situations, and I don't want people to feel like they're defined by their circumstances and that they're stuck there just because of what they look like, where they come from, the lack of resources or anything like that. Because if you have a vision, you have a desire, and you ask yourself, what would it take? There's so many resources out there to help you make that happen. And this is one of the first steps to creating deep awareness for my life that I've compiled over the years, and I love to share it with other people. So please, again, give us a rating, give us a review, leave any comments, any questions, any feedback, anything you want to hear more about. And we'd love to hear from you, and we appreciate you. And again, thank you so much for listening to the Great Matters Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Perry, and I'll catch you on the next episode.